In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, a rare Saturday episode, but me and my brother James Barlowe, we are going to share our thoughts on three prospects who could have breakout seasons and could be names that you'll see on NBA draft boards. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my brother, James Barlowe. And like I said, this is a rare Saturday episode. Me and James was just shooting the breeze. And I was like, you know what? Hey, man, let's jump on the show, turn the mics on, hit record, and let's just share our thoughts on these prospects. But before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is brought to you by FanDuel. And you can start this season with big returns on FanDuel. All you have to do is place a $5 bet. You can get started with $200 in bonus bets. That is guaranteed. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. I want you to like. I want you to share. I want you to comment. Leave your comments. Share your thoughts, no matter how wild they are, because there's some wild comments in the YouTube comment section. But all comments are welcomed here. And also make sure that you click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop. Because, like I said, we're in season. We're dropping 5 days a week, and it is a Saturday afternoon. James is watching football on his phone while we're recording.
I'm not point, man. Stop snitching, man.
James is watching football, but me, I'm not watching football. I just took my son for a walk, put him down. So I was like, hey, man, let's jump on this pod and record. All right, let's talk about three prospects that are, I think, could be sleepers that have a little bit of draft buzz, but not a lot. And they could be guys that could really have some breakout seasons. And, 2, 3, 4 months from now, we could be talking about them as not lottery picks, but legitimate draft picks. First, I want to get your thoughts on Jerry Deng. Jerry Deng is making a huge jump from he's going from Hampton to Florida State. So that's like the CAA to the ACC. But I get why Florida State was interested. He showed some flash, 6'9", averaged 10 points, 4 rebounds per game, shot 46% from the floor, 39% from three, 79% from the foul line. Now, 10 points, 4 rebounds is, in a lower conference is not really impressive. I mean, he did it as a freshman. I wouldn't say he dominated the conference, but he's taken a huge leap. So, James, what are your thoughts on Jerry Deng? Do you think that the jump is going to take a while for him to get adjusted from the CAA to the ACC?
I think it's a big jump, obviously, and I think it's going to take some time. If you were to ask me what I thought about his draft potential for 2025, I'd be like, I would probably need to see another year from him, just partially because of the jump being so big. But you're talking about a 6'9". He can really shoot the ball as a stretch four. He was 37% on catch and shoots, pretty jump shot. When he's confident and it looks good, it's going in. He kept them in. I think they had an upset victory over Elon in the conference tournament. So he can really shoot, and you can see why he was a hot name in the portal. I had heard about him last year, a few games into the season at Hampton, and I didn't think he would be Florida State. Like, I didn't think he would end up at Florida State if he were to decide to transfer, which he ended up doing. I thought he'd probably end up being like at a bigger or at another mid-major or a bigger mid-major. But that's going to be a really big jump, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out for him. But again, I think not this year, but next year he would have an opportunity because it's going to take a year to adjust.
Yeah, it's like on one hand, I can see him having like a tough adjustment period. And then on the other hand, I'm like, if he can just knock down open shots at 6'9", if the shooting translates, then he should be fine. it's the other parts of his game that I wonder if it's going to translate. But if he can knock down open shots at 6'9", then I think that there is a chance that he could come in and play a big role. But one of the reasons why I'm intrigued by him is because he has good size and length at 6'9". He showed the ability to shoot jumpers off the catch, shoot on the move. He made some pull-up jumpers. He shot some mid-range over smaller defenders. I like the shot, like you said, pretty shot. It's quick trigger, high arcing release. He showed some plays like in transition where he like Euro stepped and dunked. He is a guy that I think can, score in the open floor, whether he's a play finisher or like your trailer or just like a spot up guy. He showed some flashes of a low post game with low post, mid post. Don't know if he's going to get the freedom to showcase that at Florida State. Definitely would need to get stronger to really maximize that. But I thought he scored in a variety of ways. He's not just a shooter, which he may be limited to that at Florida State. But as a freshman, he showed, the ability to score in transition, backdoor cuts, offensive rebounds. I think he needs to become a better decision maker. He had like 16 assists and only 16 assists and 34 turnovers last season. I think he needs to improve his ball handling to maximize his potential. But here is the biggest question mark I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I said all that, all the good he does, the size, the athleticism, the shooting, but he only played 21 minutes per game at Hampton, and they were 9-24. That's the part that kind of has me scratching my head. Like, he didn't necessarily, he showed flashes, and definitely the flash was there, but he didn't dominate a lower conference. Didn't even play like major minutes, and now he's expected to make a jump to Florida State, which is a big year for Florida State. I mean, last year was a disaster, despite the talent that they had on their team. Is that one of your big concerns?
Well, you can look at that two ways. So in how many minutes a game did you say he averaged?
21.
So in 21 minutes a game, he averaged 10 and 4. And in any other conference, if a freshman averaged 10 and 4 in 21 minutes per game, he'd be like, "Hey, man, look out for this kid. He's
That's
legit.
True.
He's really good." But my biggest issues aren't necessarily the production. Even though he did play 21 minutes a game, I feel like he should be a better rebounder because he is 6'9", he is long. I just have defensive concerns about him. I don't know about his foot speed in the long term because at 6'9", now he will at Hampton, he was defending on the perimeter. But does he have like the foot speed, the agility to defend and pick and roll? And again, a big jump from the CAA to the ACC. You're no longer guarding a CAA wing or a CAA guard. You got to guard Hunter Salas, who we believe is an NBA player, right? And there's ways to counter not having the quickest feet because you're 6'9" and you're long. But like, to me, that's going to be like the biggest adjustment. And yes, he did only play 21 minutes a game, but he's like not a shot blocker. I think his defensive counting stats just weren't good enough, even in the limited minutes. But for that conference at 6, if you told me a kid was going to go from the CAA to Florida State, and yes, the 3-point ball was great, and he averaged 10 and 4. I'm like, okay, how many blocks, how many steals at 6'9" did he average? And those numbers just weren't good. So I think it's going to take him a year to adjust, and then I think in 2026 we'll see what kind of prospect he is if he's an NBA prospect.
Well, he's got to defend. If he's not defending at a high level, he just won't play. He just won't. I think the tools are there. I mean, he's 6'9", he's long. In college basketball where you can like pack the paint, I think the length helps him out there. But he's got to defend.
But we're talking about the NBA where you can't just pack the paint. So like, if I saw him, I'm putting him in all the pick and rolls because I need to see if those feet can really, really move. And that is my question. Do those feet really move? And even on offense, like, he has kind of like, not necessarily bad. He has good footwork on the catch, but chasing him off the line, like, it's an issue. And again, at 6'9", yes, he's was a freshman. He shot 54% on layups. And at 6'9", like, it has to be better, especially in a lower conference.
Yep. And that's why I think that he's going to have a limited role as a spot up shooter. And if he can
Oh yeah,
catch
for
and shoot
sure.
and make threes, if he can make 37% of his threes or 36 or 35% of his threes at 6'9" on the wing, then I think there's a chance that we could see him. But I think it's just going to boil down to, can he defend and is he ready to make the big jump? Because that's one of the biggest jumps I've ever seen.
At that age level, yes, I've seen guys go from a smaller conference as seniors,
Yeah,
juniors, but
yeah,
as a freshman, from freshman to sophomore year, that's a big jump.
yeah. That's a huge jump from a 15 seed at best if his team wins the
Exactly.
conference
If you
to.
dominate your conference, you're a 15 seed.
All right, when we return, we're going to talk about Erik Reynolds. Erik Reynolds is a veteran who is on pace to break Jameer Nelson's career scoring record at St. Joe's. But is he a legitimate NBA prospect? Me and James are going to share our thoughts. But before we get into Erik Reynolds, let's talk about FanDuel, because if you're an NFL fan, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. But when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, and you want to check out the stats, and you want to view the live play-by-play, you can do that and much more on the same page where you placed your bets. You can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Once again, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen of the day, you got to check out the Locked On NBA podcast, because they provide you a daily basketball analysis from the national and the local experts, and you get it in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed or as entertained as Locked On NBA. It is available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, second segment. I want to talk about Erik Reynolds. Erik Reynolds is a rare, very rare player that stayed at the same school. Like, he is a, potential NBA, top 60 guy. He's definitely on NBA radars. And usually if you're a guy on an NBA radar and you're at a mid-major, the big schools are coming offering big bags. And Erik Reynolds stayed loyal to St. Joe's. He could have left for a bigger payday, but St. Joe's does run like an NBA style offense. But he's listed at 6'2". He averaged 17 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists. He shot 38% from three. He is a scorer. Like, when I saw, when I watched his film and watched him play, I'm like, this guy gets buckets. But at 6'2", a combo guard at best, I think it is an uphill battle for him, even though he does have a skill set that is valuable in today's NBA. What were your thoughts on Erik Reynolds?
Yeah, man, big time scorer, scores aura, as Rafael Barlowe would say. Plays a lot off the ball, which is, I get it in college basketball. You just put your best players out there on the floor. I'm not necessarily trying to put you in position to be a professional. I'm trying to win games. But he's got really good quickness, space creator on his jump shot.
Wait. That's an understatement. He might be one of the best in the country at creating space. I seen dude. It was almost like he drove and he was at the elbow, but somehow shot a step back 3-pointer.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, he's very good at creating space off the dribble.
I wasn't trying to undersell his space creation. Even though he is 6'2", 6'3", I think he looks like, on film, he looks like a long 6'2", 6'3".
Yep.
And I think he's a movement shooter as well, which means he can come off screens, come off pin downs, different actions. But I think he is long-term a volume scorer, and I need to know, and I need to look at that roster again, so St. Joe's people don't come looking for me. But will he have the opportunity this year to be a facilitator? Because they ask him to score, and that's what he does. And he does score at a very, very high leil. I think you said he has an opportunity to break Jameer Nelson's scoring record.
Yeah, I think he's like 400 points away, but he scored like 600 points in the last 2 seasons. So, unless something happens, Jameer, you can tell your record.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Hey, do you remember that game where Delonte had like, I think he went 11 for 11? He had like 31 during that run where they had went and like won like 20 something games in a row. They just had a game, him and Jameer, they just did not miss a shot. He was like perfect from the field, perfect from the foul line, perfect from the free throw line. Shout out to Delonte. But Erik Reynolds,
Yeah,
yeah, if
hold on. Shout out to Delonte, man. I hope Delonte gets the help or accepts the help that he needs. James and I, we know Delonte. We were coaching. This is like has nothing to do with anything, but we were coaching what, sixth graders or whatever,
yeah, fifth or sixth
fifth
grade,
or
one of the
sixth
two.
graders. And Delonte's like, what are y'all doing later on? I was like, man, we got practice. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna pull up. And he came to our basketball practice and gave the kids some pointers. I got the picture, and they were just looking at him crazy, like, why is Delonte West at our basketball practice? This is when he was playing for the Mavericks, man. Delonte's one of the funniest human beings I ever met.
Funniest dude. Like, hey, that video of him rapping at KFC,
That's
like,
him.
that's him. That wasn't, he is hilarious and super nice dude. Like I said, man, I'm always rooting for Delonte.
Yeah, hopefully he gets the help he needs. But yeah,
But no,
back to Erik Reynolds.
yeah, but Erik Reynolds, yeah, like I think again, I need to look at the roster, but if you put him in position and you show me where he can make plays and to go along with his scoring, I think he gives himself a chance because again, elevation on his jump shot, shot creation, shot space creator, like he has all the things you want from a scoring point guard. I just don't know if he has the point guard part of the scoring point guard that you would want to have. And it's tough at 6'2", 6'3". But is he going to make money playing basketball, Raphael? Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I like him. And so one of the things that I like about him is that he makes quick decisions with the ball. He gets right to the money.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of guys that can score, but they pound the ball. They need a bunch of dribbles. For him, he's getting downhill. If you cut off him driving to the rim, he's got the stop and pop pull up jumper. He was one of the best at that. And then he can shoot the three, 38% from three. I just pulled up some numbers, man. He was in the 87th percentile in all of college basketball on jumpers off the dribble. He shot 35% from three off the bounce. That's what the hardest shot to me is, shooting
and
threes
these
off the
aren't
dribble.
necessarily like walk into open jump shots.
Yeah, these are like create space, and shooting off the dribble is hard, especially threes. And usually if you're shooting threes off the dribble, they are contested. If you're shooting off the dribble three and it's uncontested, that means you're probably like a big and you're a trailer and you got the rhythm dribble. But for
Or
him as a guard,
somebody got clipped on the screen, and yeah, that's not supposed to happen.
yeah, but no, 35% from three off the dribble. He shot 43% on catch and shoot, on uncontested catch and shoot threes. But if you look at his 38% from three numbers and you break it down, we're talking about coming off pin downs, screens. It wasn't just I'm in the corner catching and shooting. He's a very, very, very good shooter.
Let me ask you a question. Is there a world where he could be like a Boobie Gibson in 2025 where, we got a big playmaking wing and no, I don't necessarily need you to run the offense, but I need you to guard the point guard and be a Eddie House. What's my man's name that got drafted from here? Matt Purdue. Carson Edwards type, just small volume scoring guard. Is there any space for those kind of players in the NBA these days?
I mean, I think so, but I think it really just depends on the construction of the roster. Like, do if you have like LeBron or, maybe, maybe somebody like Orlando needs that. I think like you got to have like your bigger playmaker, or like Orlando, for example. I'm just thinking like Orlando, if they have Anthony Black as their point guard, Anthony can defend multiple positions, and then you could like, bring in like just an instant offense guard, that can pair with him, that can shoot and so on. So I think it's all about like fit. I do think there is a spot somewhere in the NBA for a guy like that, But I think he's also just going to have to show that he can play the point in the limited opportunities that he will have, because they're going to look at him to do what he does best, which is to score. But for him, like the assist to turnover is a little concerning. For his career, 245 assists to 223 turnovers. Now, I will say that the assist to turnover numbers have improved every year that he's been in school, but I just think that he's going to need the opportunity to show that he can run a team, and probably it may be a situation where he won't get to show that opportunity until he goes to summer league. And I always feel for guys in his situation, because you're a scorer, your college wants and needs you to score. That's the role that you have to play. Then you're trying to like show NBA teams that you can do one thing, because they may have the same concerns that we're talking about. But then the guy like kind of gets lost trying to balance out who he is and what he needs to show teams. So I think for him, go out this year, have a big year, build on what he's done in his excellent career, improve the assist to turnover ratio, and I think he'll be fine. But I mean, 3-level scorer, guy that like he gets to the money, gets buckets, tough shot taker, tough shot maker. I love the fact that when you watch him play, now he's that guy, and I'll end on this before we go to the last segment. He's the guy that if you go watch him play, right? And let's say you don't know who the man is, you're just watching a basketball game. He's the guy. The first time he touches the ball, like, all right, this is his team.
The first shot he's going to take,
I'm the man shot. Exudes confidence.
Yeah,
exudes confidence, and that's one of the things I like about him. But the last concern I have is that over his career, he's been somewhat of an average finisher at best around the rim. 53% last year, 58% at the rim, and 22-23, and then he was 55% at the rim and 21-22. So he had his lowest efficiency at the rim last season. So that's somewhat of a concern.
I agree.
All right, next segment, I want to talk about his teammate at St. Joe's, Rasheer Fleming. And I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say Rasheer Fleming will be a first-round pick on my big board 1.0 whenever I drop it. But we'll talk more about Rasheer Fleming after we talk about Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app. They have over 5 million active members, and it is the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. James is a big Prize Picks guy. Just let the audience know your latest success or wins on Prize Picks.
Listen to me. Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart rebound combos. More
what? More money for you? What?
just take the more on that. They're gonna be rebounding.
So, like, you do Prize Picks for WNBA? Is that the main thing you're doing?
I do right WNBA. Now? I do college football. I do NFL. I do NBA. Just the stuff that I can, research, figure out what's going on, look at trends, your last 5 games, things you did during the season against that same team in the same matchup. Little stuff like that, trying to catch a pointer or two. So,
trying to get to the money. The thing about Prize Picks is that it is the only real money daily fantasy platform that has an insurance policy. So your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks will keep your picks alive. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA, and you can get $50 when you play just $5. That's the code LOCKEDONNBA on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. And you know what? You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks.com. Run your game. All right, last segment. Rasheer Fleming, first round pick. That's that. I'm standing on it right now. I think he is a first round talent. The talent and the production aren't always on the same page. I mean, he had a good year. I mean, the numbers aren't bad. I don't want to make it seem like he's not doing much, but he averaged 10.7 points, 7.4 rebounds, 1.5 blocks per game. But the numbers are not telling you how talented and gifted this guy is. First round pick. I want to hear your opinion, and then I'm gonna sell you on why I think he's a first round pick.
You're not. I agree with you, and I'm going to agree with you. Let me tell you why I like Rasheer Fleming. Length, athlete, defend. He will be able to defend on the perimeter. He's 6'9", I think 220. He shot 39% unguarded as a 4/5 man, and he can defend in space and protect the rim. So let me ask you a question, though, Ralph. Now, me and you, I'll just speak for me. I wasn't high on Ryan Dunn, right? And let me address what was that. Did you see the video of him working out with KD? And who was that guy? Where has he been?
Why was he making shots or something?
You didn't see it?
No, I
he had boogie, Ralph. He was handling. I know somebody that was close to him had commented when we were talking about Ryan Dunn, a video about him, and he was like, he has a lot more than what you see at Virginia, right? But like he was like cooking KD. And again, it's a clipped up workout video. I get it, but Ralph, he was cooking KD. Like cooking, like, and it wasn't it was pull up jumpers. Like he looked like a top 5 pick in the draft if you were to base it off of that. But I say that to say this: if the same things that you like about Ryan Dunn, if you liked Ryan Dunn going into this last year's draft, you can like about Rasheer Fleming, except for Rasheer Fleming at this stage was a better shooter, right? Now he didn't have the crazy
the same level as a defender.
Let me get to that. He didn't have the stocks and blocks, but I mean he had a block and a half.
Yeah.
And he averaged almost a steal a game. Like that is a step down. But if I trade you the blocks and the steals for 3-point shooting, I think you would take that. But I think Rasheer Fleming is going to be able to defend legit 1 through 5. I mean, not that 1 through 5 excluding Jokic, Embiid.
But just being able to switch and defend.
But yes, he is extremely switchable, and you're not going to get an argument for me as far as him being a potential first round pick, especially if you like Ryan Dunn.
Every year I have my guy. I don't know if I have it this year, but he is leaning towards being my guy because he just pops to me. His flashes are incredible. Like when you just see what he can do in some of the plays that he makes. Like there was a play that I watched where he got the ball he was in the corner. He must have made a 3 to play before. So it was a hard closeout. Beat his man. He drove the ball. And then he didn't beat the guy off the dribble, and he just turned it into a back down post up, reverse layup. Then there was another play I saw where he was in the corner and they ran like an action play for him. He caught the ball at the opposite elbow, drove right. I think the defender beat him to the spot, spun off of him, finished with his left hand. And then you see him as like a play finisher where he's like catching lobs at the dunker spot. And I'm like, at the very minimum, he's your pick and roll man, rim runner, play finisher. And I mean, you see him sprint the floor in transition.
See, here's my question, Ralph. He's so athletic. Is he a 4 or a 5?
Hey man, he is a ball player. I think you can play him at both. And if the outside shooting, which he's shown flashes, the flashes are definitely there as an outside shooter. I forgot the numbers. They were good.
I have him at 39.5% unguarded on jump.
39.5% unguarded catch and shoot jumpers. If he can keep those numbers up and get the volume up a little bit more, and maybe he doesn't have to. Even if he's at like 32%, he just shows that he can knock that shot down. I don't see why he won't be a first round pick. I mean, listen to these stats: 68% at the rim. That means automatic. 63% as the roll man. And the roll man numbers in college, you gotta take them with a grain of salt because they don't always have the same spacing as you would in the NBA.
Yeah, because the dude he played next to, I forget his last, I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name was Christ. That he played with like a legit like 5-man, like a college 5-man, big body boy.
Yep. So you factor in he should have better spacing in the NBA. He shot 82% in transition, and watching him run the floor in transition, like there are some bigs that I think have the athleticism to run the floor, but he runs the floor like he's got Jason Kidd, who he knows is going to reward him with the pass, and he didn't have that. So imagine if he has like an NBA level point guard that he knows that's going to find him every time. So I like the fact that, again, sprints the floor in transition, 82% from the floor in transition, crashes the offensive glass, made about 80% of his offensive rebound putbacks. I mean, there's a lot to like. The ball handling, I think, is there, whether it's just attacking closeouts on straight line drives. I think he has the footwork and the touch to post up smaller defenders. I mean, I can go on. There's a lot to like.
He shows flashes of, again, is he a ball handler? I don't know, but he can dribble, and he looks comfortable putting the ball on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's like change of direction. Like if you cut the right off, he'll hit you with it behind the back. Like he does that. Yeah, there's a lot to like about him. I really like him a lot, and I was trying to figure out if he's going to be a 4 or a 5, but it may not even matter because, if you pair him with, I think he's probably a 4 just because, again, he's not the biggest, strongest guy. But if you catch him in a sense where he can be a 4-man that can pop and dunk and guard like at a high level. He's legit, man. I'm sold.
I think I'm gonna play him at the 5 just because I think he's 6'9", 230. That's fine. I mean, he can put on some pound. I mean, the frame is there, broad shoulders. So I think I play him at the 5, and he's my roll man. I mean, is he? I don't know how much Onyeka Okongwu weighs off the top of my head.
Yeah, but Onyeka, he's a big dude though. Like,
but I think Rasheer's frame looks like he can put on some weight, and so. But he can. I mean, he might be my guy right now. He's the guy that's been the biggest riser.
And see, this is why when you asked me, Raf, was Cash Money CMB, was he the best returning guy? And I'm like, I gotta dig a lot deeper.
Kyler Murray Boyles.
Sorry. I gotta dig a lot deeper because CMB may be the most productive guy going into this next year as a returner, but is he the best guy? If you ask me today, who do I like more, Rasheer Fleming or CMB? I'm gonna say Rasheer Fleming.
And that won't be the popular pick, but
I don't, man. We're not trying to be popular, man.
We're not trying to be popular here. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. You got us on a Saturday. Man, we're going to do one again tomorrow on a Sunday because there's a lot of prospects to talk about, a lot of prospects.
I got a sleeper for you.
James got a big-time sleeper that he's been talking about.
Since February. I'll show you the screenshots.
But since February that he thinks is going to have a breakout year. So stay tuned for that episode. But once again, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. Again, check out the Locked On NBA podcast because the local experts will keep you updated on all of the biggest storylines ahead of the season, like the Karl Anthony Towns to New York Knicks trade. But you can find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And we got a big surprise for you. The announcement will probably come sometime next week, but it is something exclusive to only Locked On NBA Big Board to be maybe one of the first of its kind. So you don't want to miss this. Once again, it's Rafael and James, and we are out of here.